What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Steve Nostotoski here of Maize Brew, bringing you another episode here of Freshman Feature for the class of 2021. School stats, recruitment, you guys know the deal here. We're already on episode 21 of this class. Final two episodes here before we get to the transfers. We're covering the three-star defensive end out of New Jersey, Dominick Giudice. I'm going to mess up that name, so I apologize in advance. For his high school, he's out of Mater Dei High School out of New Jersey. 2019, as a junior, helped that team finish as a state runner-up. Played both defensive line and offensive tackle in high school. Mater Dei, one of the better programs in the state of New Jersey. They play in the second-tier Catholic League in the state, coached by former NFL defensive lineman Dino Mangiero. There you go. Good for overall development and technique of defensive linemen, including Giudice here. For his stats, senior year 2020, 46 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, and 42 QB pressures. Ready for this is junior year. Don't get a total tackles number here, but 43 tackles for loss and 24 sacks. Those numbers are insane. It came in as number 11 against the rest of the nation, number 1 in the state of New Jersey for those metrics. So pretty crazy. Moving on to his metrics, we don't get 40 shuttle or vertical, but he weighs in at 265 at 6'4" for his height. That's according to the University of Michigan website. So good length, good size already for an interior defensive lineman, which is looking like where he'll end up. Moving on to his rankings here. Rivals has him as a 2-star. ESPN and 24/7 both have him as a 3-star. It brings his composite within the top 1,800. Obviously low-rated guy here, just above 2-star status. 94 edge according to the composite, and 32 New Jersey. So 24/7, as I mentioned, they have him as the highest rank as their 83 edge, 27 in the state of New Jersey. Moving on to his offers here. Lots of academies, lots of Ivies. He does seem like a guy who would be on a service academy, just his overall game and his film. It looks like one of those guys, but he had Air Force, Army, Navy, the trifecta there. He had some mid-major offers from the MAC, Buffalo, Central Michigan, Ball State, a couple others outside of the MAC in Temple and UMass. He had some Ivy offers as well, Harvard, Princeton, Penn, Yale, Columbia, Cornell. So pretty much anyone in the Ivy League was interested in him as well. Wisconsin, Rutgers were teams that were poking around. No offers were extended. UMass already offered there. They did have an in. His father was a captain there in the 80s. For the Minutemen there out of UMass. For his recruitment, seen by Michigan as either a strong side defensive end or a 3-tech, he had an initial relationship with former assistant Anthony Campanile. He had left for the Dolphins before the recruitment was over, so Sean Nua got in touch with him, and then Giudice was offered by Harbaugh, Don Brown, and Sean Nua. Michigan fandom for Giudice goes back to when he was 5 years old, so obviously a long time coming for him to actually end up with the Wolverines, and it is by far his best offer. So it all makes sense. He committed March of 2020, was Michigan's first defensive commitment for the class of 2021. Moving on to his scouting here. Motor. You're going to hear Motor over and over and over again. He's a smart kid as well. Obviously, we saw all the Ivy League offers. He's a 4.0 type kid for sure. Frame to offer flexible, positional flexibility. So he can be defensive end, move interior. He's got a good skill set to kind of play across the defensive line at this point. Quick feet and hands and technique well above average. A lot of this goes back to having a former defensive lineman as your head coach. And he plays through traffic really well, solid balance and body control. So a lot of things he can play within himself. Now, improvements. He's not going to have that top end ceiling. Obviously his ranking within the top 1,800. How high can that ceiling really get? So he lacks kind of that explosiveness you see out of higher ranked guys at the position. Doesn't really have top end speed. It's more of a burst. Change of direction. There's some conflicting reports there, and bend around the edge. He's listed that defensive end. He's not going to be a pass rushing defensive end. That's not really in his skill set. To me, his motor definitely stands out. His technique stands out quite a bit. Little wasted movement, and I think he has a higher floor than his ranking would suggest. For his film, as always, tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be going through all film Giudice has to offer, including that junior year where he posted 24 sacks. Just phenomenal film, really. Really fun to watch. For his comp, Ryan Van Bergen, really good comp. 6'5", 240 out of high school in Michigan. He played outside linebacker before moving to his defensive end junior year of high school. He was a 4-star, top 200 recruit overall. Made an impact pretty early at Michigan. He saw game time in all 12 games as a redshirt freshman, 3-year starter since his redshirt sophomore year. 2011, his final year, he was all Big Ten honorable mention. So Van Bergen was a guy who was lauded for his ability to stay on his feet, really good balance, lacked that sort of explosiveness. He wasn't a guy that you would really expect to make a whole lot of plays on Michigan's defense, but a steady player, high floor player. And that's what got him a starting role with the Wolverines, but he didn't really make it anywhere in the NFL after going undrafted, spent a year on a practice squad, and he was kind of out. So I do think Van Bergen is probably the optimistic ceiling for Giudice, but very similar skill set where they're bigger than defensive end, kind of have that versatility across the interior defensive line. Really 3-4 defensive end is the best position, and that's a good segue into projection here. In a 4-3, he would have had to bulk up to be a true 3 tech. That's where he was being recruited as, obviously with the shifting defensive personnel and staff, I should say. He's a natural 3-4 defensive end. With his size, his technique gives him a leg up already. With his hand fighting, it's just a matter of how high can his ceiling really raise, right? He's about here. How high can that ceiling be raised to truly compete for a starting role? I'm of the opinion he's close to his ceiling at this point, and he just could be overall limited by the athleticism that he has. But it's a solid floor, okay? He's going to have some time to figure it out as well. Michigan's taken a lot of defensive end-shaped bodies in the past few classes here. So 2021, I think it's a for sure red shirt. Just get him in the weight room, get him close to that ceiling as possible, and then you can start to use that technique. I think he'd be a really good special teams player in 2022, 2023 as a redshirt sophomore. And then his redshirt junior year, 2024 onward, that's when I think you'll start to see him provide some depth, maybe possibly crack the 2 deep. And then as a redshirt senior, I think rotational player would be the expectation. Again, you could see him elevate and use that high floor to kind of build himself a role in a Ryan Van Bergen-esque type manner, but we'll see. We'll see. I think for a guy ranked around 1,800, he brings a really high floor. I've said that multiple times, but I'm going to reiterate because it's hard to see that just by looking at the ranking. You think this guy's a flyer or whatever. I think he brings great technique to the position, and interested to see what he'll grow into and where he'll max out at his size. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think I'm being a little too harsh, a little too optimistic? Want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments. Had a recent suggestion out of Spain for these videos, what you guys want to see. So I'll definitely be taking that into consideration for future episodes, and feel free to reach out either here or on Twitter. I read all your guys' comments and messages. I appreciate that. Live stream tonight, 30 minutes or so, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Come hang out. Finally, like and subscribe if you like this series. One more episode to come on Wednesday. All right. Beyond that, thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to watch this episode. Stay safe out there. And as always, go blue.